You ever just stop and look around and wonder, how did all this happen? Our world, this incredible, beautiful planet, where did it come from? Well, today we're going to take an absolutely epic journey. We're telling the entire life story of Earth, all 4.5 billion years of it. This world we see today, with its blue oceans and green lands, it just feels so permanent, so stable. But what you're seeing is just one peaceful moment in an incredibly long and, frankly, violent cosmic movie. So how'd we get here? How did a molten ball of fire turn into the home we know and love? To answer that, we have to rewind the clock. I mean, all the way back. Before Earth, before our sun, even before time itself. We're going right to the very beginning. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around, but it all started from a single point. Imagine everything, all matter, all energy, packed into a space smaller than an atom, and then, boom, the Big Bang. The universe explodes into existence, starting as this super hot soup of just hydrogen gas. But then, a brand new force shows up, gravity. And gravity starts doing what it does best, pulling things together. It clumps all that hydrogen into these massive clouds, squeezing them tighter and tighter until the pressure is so intense that they ignite. And just like that, you have the very first stars. Billions and billions of these stars popped into existence, all clustering together to form galaxies. And way out in a quiet neighborhood of one of them, our very own Milky Way, our local story begins. A huge cloud of dust and gas started collapsing in on itself, and right at the center, it got hot enough and dense enough to become our sun. All the leftover stuff just kept swirling around it, like cosmic dust bunnies. And from that debris, our world was about to be born. So, the early solar system was chaotic. It was a violent cosmic construction zone on a scale that's hard to even imagine. Our planet wasn't born peacefully. It was forged in absolute fire. Scientists actually call this period the Hadean Eon, named after Hades, the Greek underworld. And for good reason. Early Earth was a true hellscape. Picture a molten ball of rock with oceans of bubbling lava, no solid crust, and this toxic oxygen-free atmosphere thick with poison gas. And to top it all off, a constant, relentless rain of meteoroids was crashing down, keeping the surface superheated. It was a world you wouldn't even recognize. So, how does a planet made of fire end up with oceans? Well, here's the crazy part. The answer came from the coldest parts of space. For millions of years, Earth was just getting pelted by these icy meteoroids, basically giant, dirty snowballs from the outer solar system. Each one that hit delivered a little bit of water, which instantly turned to steam in the crazy heat, wrapping the planet in a thick blanket of clouds. The planet was starting to cool down, but the most dramatic event in its entire history was still on the way. There was another young planet out there, about the size of Mars, and it was hurtling through space on a direct collision course with us. This was going to change everything. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of this event. This rogue planet, which scientists named Theia, slammed into Earth with unbelievable force. The impact basically vaporized Theia and a huge chunk of Earth, blasting a ring of molten rock into orbit around us. And over time, gravity worked its magic again, pulling all that hot mess together into a sphere. And that is how we got our moon. Back then, it was so close to Earth, it would have looked 200 times bigger in the sky. Can you imagine? Okay, so after millions of years, the planet cooled, and all that steam in the atmosphere finally fell as rain for centuries, creating vast oceans. The planet was finally habitable. But being a place where life could exist is one thing. How did life actually begin? This is one of the biggest questions in all of science, and honestly, we don't know for sure. But there are two main ideas. The first is that life was homegrown. Deep under the sea, volcanic vents spewing out superheated water could have been the perfect chemical kitchen to cook up amino acids, the building blocks of life. The second theory sounds a little more like science fiction. It suggests life was an alien import. The idea is that Mars might have cooled down faster than Earth, so maybe simple bacteria started there first. Then a huge asteroid hits Mars, blasting rocks with those little microbes into space, and one of those rocks eventually crashed right here, seeding our oceans. But here's the mind-blowing part. No matter how it started, every single living thing on this planet, from a tiny bacterium to a blue whale, from a mushroom to you and me, we all came from that one original single-celled organism. This quote just says it all. The fact that you share half your DNA with a banana is a pretty wild reminder that we are all literally part of the same ancient family.
But the story doesn't just end there. Life didn't just show up and have an easy time. It had to survive. And Earth's history is a story of constant and often catastrophic change. Get this, about 700 million years ago, the planet's thermostat just completely broke. The whole world froze over, becoming a giant snowball hurtling through space. For millions of years, the average temperature was a brutal minus 18 degrees Celsius. The oceans were buried under a kilometer of ice. Life was nearly wiped out, just barely hanging on in the deep, dark water beneath it all. So what saved the day? Volcanoes. They punched through all that ice, pumping tons of carbon dioxide into the air, creating a massive greenhouse effect that finally thawed the planet. And as things warmed up, tiny little organisms started doing something incredible: photosynthesis. They started pumping out a waste product, a gas that was actually toxic to most life back then, but that would change the world forever. That gas was oxygen. This new oxygen-rich air was a total game changer. Suddenly, there was enough energy available to support bigger, more complex life. And boy, did it evolve. Eventually, the stage was set for an age of giants. For 170 million years, that's a length of time that's almost impossible to comprehend, dinosaurs were the undisputed rulers of this planet. They dominated everywhere: the land, the seas, and the air. Their reign seemed unstoppable, absolute. But then, a visitor from space changed everything. 27 kilometers. That's how big the asteroid was that was heading straight for Earth. An object the size of a mountain, moving 20 times faster than a bullet. The impact was, well, it was apocalyptic. We're talking a magnitude 12 earthquake, tsunamis miles high, racing across the globe. The sky literally rained fire as debris burned up on re-entry. Global temperatures shot up to 200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cook anything that couldn't find shelter. And the shock waves triggered volcanoes everywhere. It was simply the end of the world. And the result of all that? 75%. 3/4 of every species on Earth gone, wiped out forever. And that included every single one of the big dinosaurs. In a single, terrible day, the age of giants was over. But out of that total devastation, a new story was about to begin. The dinosaurs' extinction was a once-in-a-planet's-lifetime opportunity for a whole new kind of animal. The animals that inherited this new Earth weren't the giants, no. They were the small, meek creatures that had been living in the dinosaurs' shadows. Tiny little mammals, a lot of them no bigger than rats, that had survived the apocalypse by burrowing deep underground. And this is where our own story really kicks off. With the big predators gone, these little mammals took over. Millions of years went by, and some evolved into primates, learning to live in the trees. But then, the world changed again. The climate got drier, and the huge forests in Africa started shrinking, giving way to open grasslands. This change forced our ape-like ancestors down from the trees and out into the open, on 2 feet. And that single step started the long, winding road of evolution that leads directly to us. Just think about that for a second. Our existence is the result of an unbroken chain of survival stretching back billions of years. It relies on planets colliding, on entire ice ages, on catastrophic asteroid impacts, on a million cosmic coin flips, all landing the right way. We are the product of both incredible luck and unbelievable toughness. And that brings us right here, to today. After this unbelievable 4.5 billion year journey, we are the very first species on this planet smart enough to look back and actually understand this story. We are, in a way, the planet's consciousness. And with that knowledge comes a huge responsibility. Earth will keep spinning, but our place in its future, that's not guaranteed. So what's the next chapter of this incredible story going to be? Well, for the first time ever, that's up to us.